Shalom and good day, everyone. I'm coming back unto you to give you some corrections in the last video that was made regarding with the East Point, Dead Sea Scrolls, and Reason of Tabernacles in October of the year of 2021. So I'll be giving you some updates and some correction that need to be made. Also, this is the lesson for the continuation of the looking at First Enoch chapter 74 in regards to how the moon alter her settings and peculiar course of the moon. So we'll be looking at that as well. I first like to give honors to our Father Yahuwah. He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I also like to give honors to his son Yahusha HaMashiach, for he is the second Adam. He is the Messiah, which means anointed one. He is the fountain of the living waters, and he is the light/eye of the body that's represented by the Hebrew letter ayin that is in his name. He is also the door of the sheep, and that letter is represented by the left, and the left stands for 4, and you'll see why as we study the Most High Calendar, especially when we talk about the doors, which are the portals in the first firmament in the first heavens. Okay. I also like to give honors to our mother, for our mother is wisdom. Yes, we have a mother. I know many people are in shock or don't believe it, but all we have to do is go back to the foundation, because when we look at Genesis, Genesis teaches us that the ideal or the concept of having a father and mother came from heaven. Remember, the heaven is tied into the earth. They go hand in hand. So this is why the Messiah say unto you that wisdom shall be justified by her children, meaning that she shall bring forth, she shall birth the children of the light. I also like to give honors to the bride of the Messiah, for you are male and female, bond and free, circumcised and uncircumcised, Israelite/Jew or Gentile. I also like to bid a shalom to the 144,000, for you are only Israelites, and you have a special assignment with the Messiah to take down the fourth beast kingdom, which is Rome. And Rome is Edom. For many who ignore the prophecies of the Most High, then you're going to be greatly deceived for what is coming. As written in Revelation 12, the dragon is red, letting you know whose kingdom you are in. For soon this world shall be put to an end. The Tov is coming. For the blessed seed of Yaakov of Jacob is coming to take down the fourth beast. He is that stone that breaks apart the mountain. For it wasn't for Jacob the supplanter. For Jacob's not a thief. He is a supplanter. He took the place of his brother. Because if his brother is ruling as you see now, the Holy One couldn't come and redeem us back to the Father. Know your history. Understand what the living word is teaching unto you. Don't be deceived by the children of darkness and the synagogue of Satan. We also bid a shalom to the nation of Israel, for soon the Most High shall bring you back as one nation of people. This is why the Bible has you represented by the candlestick, which is known as the menorah. You will no longer be two kingdoms anymore. You'll be one. All right. Lots to talk about. I do want to share this with you. I've been in the book of Ezekiel, and and my mouth is dropping because it's so much the Father is teaching me and giving me so much understanding about my people, and even what's going on today, because history is repeating itself. But most importantly, is helping you to learn your Father in heaven, to understand His mindset, to see why He does what He does. So for those who have issues with reading or who don't like to read, I do recommend that you start playing the audio Bible. You be amazed what you hear, what you see. But through that book, the Father's also let me realize there are formulas in that book that will help you understand the other prophecies and where I'm talking about mathematical formulas, the foundation. For many are running from here and there and everywhere to many books, but you're not mastering the foundation. The foundation I'm talking about is Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and the Gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then those books that come after them is also inclusive of the foundation, because go back and look and read what the Messiah said. He said what the book of songs and the prophets is the extension of him. So if you master that foundation first, then you can understand the other books, because what the Father's going to teach you is that the Gentiles, the heathens, have been in our sacred books and they have been changing stuff or mistranslating stuff or in certain things that they think they understand but they don't. If you don't master the foundation, you're not going to stand the other books and you're going to get confused. And then you're going to spread, then you're going to end up spreading more lies. So this is why the Father, if for example, forgive me if my tongue getting twisted, I just get a little excited. But this is what the Father's been teaching me. I have given you witnesses, my prophets, my heavens, my earth, math, letters, words, science. I have given you these things to be a witness unto you, but you keep turning a deaf ear. So when you meet him on the day of judgment, we have no excuse, y'all. People don't understand. He has eyes and ears everywhere. For he had poured his spirit upon all his creation. The only one that's out of order is us. We're not listening. We're not paying attention because we're not connected to the spirit. But his other creations, they have his spirit. And they are reporting back unto the Father what you are doing. Please make it right with him while you have time. Please don't be deceived by the riches of the world or having a platform or having a title. Or please, in other words, don't allow the spirit of pride to come upon you and overtake you. Humble yourself before him and tell his people the truth and be honest. All right, said enough. All right, let's begin. Let's open up with this verse here. I'm in Ben Sirah. This is in the 1611 Bible of the Apocrypha, and we're going to read verse 27. It says that a wise man will fear in everything, and in the day of sinning, he would be aware of offense. But a fool will not observe time. And there's a precept to that verse, and read that. It's in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 14. But going back to this verse, as I meditate on this, because I shared with y'all in the past that a fool will not observe time, that means he's not paying attention. But the Messiah told you to what? Watch and pray. And one of the things of watching is that go back to Genesis 1 for 1 Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. For we are to what? Observe time. Keep a record. Pay attention. So we're gonna be caught off guard. So when he send the eagle wings out to gather you, you won't miss the boat. Just like the ones in the days of Noah. History is repeating all of itself again. This is why a wise one will be repentful of his sins, won't be caught off guard, so he won't miss the boat, because the eagle wings will gather you soon. Through the precepts, it will teach you what the eagle wings are. Many misunderstand it. I'm telling y'all, Revelation 12 tell you something deep. It tells you something deep. It reveals unto you there will be those gathered by the eagle wings. And then there are those who are not, who will have to face the serpent, the dragon, the beast. And you got to ask yourself why. To understand that, it deals with the three Sodom harvest feasts. Passover, which is involved the barley harvest. Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which involves the barley harvest, is dealing with the first gathering of the Messiah and those that he set free from Sheol. That's the first. The second harvest we are waiting now, that's the wheat harvest. And the last harvest is the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Feast of Tabernacles deal with those who have to face the beast. Go back to the prophets and you'll see what I'm talking about. So the title of this lesson today, for those who are studying the Most High Calendar, this is part 2 of studying the moon altar settings and peculiar, I'm sorry, y'all, my tongue getting twisted. We're looking at the altar settings and the peculiar course of the moon. This is part 2. It's a continuation in First Enoch, chapter 74. So we're going to be picking up from verse 5 all the way down to 10 today. Okay. We also are going to go over give you some updates dealing with what we talked about last time, dealing with the East Point, Dead Sea Scrolls, Reason of Tabernacles in October 2021. Okay. And we did not do the we wasn't able to finish out the answer for that chapter. First Enoch chapter 74, verse 5, but today we will go over it today. Okay. Now let me give you the date for today. Now the heathen's date, because remember this is Satan's kingdom. Satan has his own calendar known as the Gregorian calendar. So his date is September the 28th in the year of 2021 AD. However, our Father is not like that, for he's the Father of light. Therefore, his day starts um from sundown to sundown. Satan's day starts from midnight to midnight, for he is the father of darkness. Now, the year of our Father, there's two types of year you can look at. You can look at the Adamic year, or you can look at creation year. In the Adamic year, we are in the 8th day from Adam, okay? And the 8th day from Adam start in the 7,001st year, ending to the 8,000 year. Far as creation, we in the day 13 of creation, and that start from the 13,000 year to 13,999. Now, far as Enoch's 10-week prophecy, we are now in the 8th week of his 10-week prophecy. There is a 7-day prophecy, and if I remember correctly on top of my head, we are in day 5 of that. Now, far as the week from creation, right now we are still in the 2nd week. If I remember, yeah, we're still in the 2nd week of creation, and pretty soon we'll be entering into the 3rd. Again, you will understand these things that I mentioned unto you for those who've been studying the prophecy. Now, I found a verse in the Apocrypha that talks about us who study the prophecies. One day I will share that verse with you. Oh, not that one. Don't need that one. I need the calendar date. Now, we are in the 6th month of the Most High calendar month. And this month is known as Elul, and Elul means nothingness. Remember, there are heavenly messages that our Father teaches us about his calendar. Okay. Now we are in the 3rd week of his calendar. I had to give my thing time. In the 3rd week, it takes a while because I have so many things open. Okay. Yep, the 3rd week, because we are still, well, season 2 had just ended, which is summer. Now we're in season 3, which is fall, and that's determined by the sun's circuit, or known as Tekafar. You know, we have the end now meeting the beginning at the year's end. Okay, so the sun with Mazzaroth to dictate unto us, or tells us when the seasons begin and end. Okay. About there, y'all. It just takes a while. Okay. So now we are in the fall season. Let me see what day this falls on in his calendar. This takes a while. I don't know why it does that. Okay. So we are in day 21 of the 6th month. Far as the date of the sun, we're in the sun's 7th month and 5th day. Okay. Far as the date of the heathens, it starts on September the 27th at sundown, ended on September the 28th at sundown. So soon his Shabbat day will be coming in today, y'all, at sundown. Okay. So that's the 3rd week. Take this time to pause your screen. Okay, and I do see we have a biblical event coming up in the next week, dealing with the walls of Yahusha being completed in the days of Nehemiah. Because remember, that was the first, after the first desolation, when they came out of that captivity, they had to go back and rebuild the city, the holy city, and the walls. Okay, take this time now to pause the screen and check the video description box for the access to the calendar link. And remember, no one should be charging you for his calendar. And his calendar must consist of the 3 lights. Even the Dead Sea Scrolls will prove that unto you. They kept a record of all 3 lights, y'all. Okay. Let's see here. Now let's go to the nitty-gritty here. Okay, I did say I would give you the update. So let's go to the updates. Some correction that I need to make was that, and forgive me, y'all, is that I gave you the wrong concordance for summer and winter, and you'll see why as I show y'all the diagram that I share with y'all. So here's the correction, and most of these corrections are based on my time zone, so I haven't really had a chance to really sit down and look what happened with Israel for that day. Okay, but I'm talking about for this year when the sun entered into the seventh sign of Mazzaroth. Okay, that's what I'm talking about for this year in the heathens year of 2021 AD. So when that happened, I learned that um, it fell on the 90th degree this year, okay, for the sun to rise in the east. So when it sets in the west, it's going to set on the 270-degree mark, okay. So for this year, summer, when the sun rose on that day, when it entered into the fourth sign of Mazzaroth, it arose in the 60-degree mark, and then it set in the west in the 300-degree mark, and that was in the west north area when it set. When it rose in the east, it rose in the east north area, and it makes sense because you get more light. Now, for upcoming winter, this is what the projection is, that the sun is going to rise 60 degrees in the east south position, and then it's going to set 300 degrees in the west south position. So keep in mind, I'm still working on these charts and documents to get everything kind of finalized for this year, so we'll have a record. Okay. So this is another way to how to find your east and your west point, especially when you have cloudy days. This is a backup. Okay. See here. There was a diagram that I shared with y'all. So I do got to make some correction. I do apologize. I don't know why my mind was thinking that, but it is what it is. So remember, I shared with y'all about the 4 corners of the earth, and I'll show you how that look unto the Father. Okay. And the 4 corners of the earth is dealing with taking a part of a square. So if you place a circle in a square and you divide it into 4 parts, this is what the Father is talking about. The 4 corners of the earth is dealing with the direction, such as east, south, west, and north. Okay. So I'm still working on this chart. I got to make some updates and I got to make some correction. But I did want you to have this information that now this is correct for east, it's 90 degrees. South should be 180 degrees. West is correct, it's 270 degrees, and north should be 360 degrees. Okay. And another thing that the Father is really wants you to really understand, He needs for you to align the events of the gospel with this. And we talked about all that in the first video. Let's go watch the first video, and you'll get the explanation. Only thing I did wrong was just wrote down the wrong degree. Okay. So halfway mark for your third hour when the Messiah was upon the cross, which is 9 a.m., the 9 a.m. hour. And I do want to say this in Hebrew time, we don't have minutes or second. We would just say in the hour. So the 9 a.m. hour consists of 9 o'clock to 9:59. Okay. Very important. So he was on that cross in that third hour. So the degree mark for that would be 135. 135. Okay. Then you have for the south point, which is the 12 noon hour or the 12 midnight hour right there. Okay. I will mention that one thing too. And then for the night hour, that's when the Messiah gave up the ghost, and that is the same hour where you have the darkness to end when he came upon the cross. And I forgot to mention to you that the darkness came in the 12th hour. Okay, which is the 6th hour. So when the darkness in the night hour, the Messiah had already given up his the breath. Okay, so he died and his soul transgressed into Sheol. And that take place we convert the night hour to our time, 3 p.m. So the correct degree for that would have been, I got to do this math in my mind, y'all. Forgive me. Let's see. I believe it would be 225, something like that. So, like I said, I'm going to have this finalized. I'm just doing some quick math in my mind, y'all. Forgive me. Yeah, I got like 225. Very important. Okay. But watch the first video and pretty much most information is about the same. That was this correction I need to make. Another thing, I did talk about some things like some numbers that I saw, like the theme of 6, but I also saw the theme of 9. If you add these numbers for the concordance for east, south, west, and north, if you notice that 9 plus 0 equals 9, then for 180, 1 plus 8 plus 0 equals 9. For west, 2 plus 7 plus 0 equals 9. And for north, 3 plus 6 plus 0 equals 9. So like I say, you see the theme of 9, then we understand why Enoch say that the length of daylight and the length of night is affected by the 40 minutes, because 40 minutes equals 9 parts. And the first video break that down. Okay. So you can understand how Enoch's got his numbers. I'm trying to think it was anything else. Oh yes, homework. I did give my family homework, and you too can practice this. Homework for you to do for spring. I want you to get a practice with, where do you expect to see the sunrise in the spring season, and is daylight longer or is daylight longer, shorter, or equal in spring? And then you're gonna do the same thing for summer. You're gonna ask yourself, is daylight longer, shorter, or equal for spring? Okay. And where do you expect to see the sunrise? And where do you expect to see the sunset? Okay. And you're going to do the same thing for fall and for winter. So take this time to pause your screen, write that down so you can practice. So when we go over it this upcoming heathen day, known as the Saturday or the Saturnine day, we'll go over that and give you the answer. All right, that take care of that. Now for the meat. So as you read First Enoch chapter 74, it's going to give you understanding on how the moon moves in her circuit. Slightly different from the third circuit, but remember all these instructions come from heaven above. Okay, so I did say I would get back to you to give you the answer for First Enoch chapter 74 verse 5, because the Father blessed me to have some records, and I had some records to prove that you can see this example taking place. But I do got to make some corrections. So that's why you see me highlighting some things. Okay. So in verse 5, it say, in 2 months, the moon sets with the sun in those two middle doors, the third and the fourth. So we ought to identify what the two middle doors are, because I have a chart for that, which are the third and fourth door. Again, you have to start to the beginning, First Enoch chapter 72, to understand what your two middle doors are. It's very important to walk that through, and you're going to see why. Okay. Now, here's the correction. I first had it listed as the 12th. Okay, when I asked this question to my family, I asked, what are the 2 months of the sun that you're going to have the moon to set with it? Okay, so I think I had the 12th month and the 6th month, but as I meditate, y'all, that's not right. And you'll see why. So when you read First Enoch chapter 72, you will learn that in door 4, you have the first month and the 6th month of the sun. And in the door 3, you have the 7th month and the 12th month of the sun. Okay. Very important to know this. Okay. Now this involves some math, and this is also involves some experience with keeping record of his calendar and knowing what these lights are expected to do. So as I meditate, I had to correct that. Instead of saying the 12th month and the 6th month, because it actually didn't deal with the equinox day. Okay, let me explain. It dealt with, there is a time where the sun and the moon start together, and it happened in the year of 2015 and 2016. And I'm going to show you my calendar records for that. That's what I say it's so important to keep records, because then you can go back and look at these things. Okay. So and here's another thing. I knew that the moon had fewer days than the sun. However, by knowing that there is a time that the sun and the moon starts together, based on the old ancient formulas that was given in the first book of Enoch. Again, you have to read second Enoch, y'all, and third Enoch. But based on the ancient formulas, the first 2 months of the sun and the first 2 months of the moon should be 30 days. And remember, with the moon, you got 29 and a half. So on that 30th day, the moon can either start a new month or it can um, have another day in itself because of that decimal number 29 and a half. And first Enoch does talk about that in his first book. So it's in there. So by me knowing about the math and the difference between those 2 years, I knew it could not be 12 and 6 because by the time you get to the 6th month of the sun and the 7th month of the moon, y'all, we ought to know that the moon's going to be ahead of the sun by that time. Okay. So this is why you see me changing my answer for that. It should be the 12th month and the first month, and you'll see why as I explain further. Then here the reason to back it up, we do look at the equinox as far as knowing when the sun began. Okay, when do the sun year begin? And the reason why this happened because we had the sun and the moon to happen. We had the sun and the moon to start their year together at the beginning of the year. Okay. So the phase that sets with the sun is dealing with the new moon crescent. And here's the proof because I remember there was a time that when you go out and watch the new moon, sometimes y'all got to be out there because it would disappear on you quickly. I have seen that happen in the past, but now I understand why. Okay. It's dealing with how they start out together, positioning, all that other stuff. So here's the proof. When we look at the lunar epoch, this is one of the records that I keep based on what Enoch tell us. In the year of 2015 and 2016, we had our I'm sorry, we had in the year of 2014 and 2015 our bank of days to zero out. And in other words, everything was reset. So that with the moon and the sun would start together. And they started together in the year of 2015 in the month of March. In the month of March. Okay. Take this time to pause your screen. 'Cause I'm not going to go into depth on these numbers because I just want to keep this simple. So by me having this information here, by knowing what year to go in, that's why I say y'all having these summary sheets help me to find what I'm looking for. And that's why I put a little check mark to let me know that the new moon, okay, which is the new moon crescent, and the sun was set together based on first Enoch. I need to put that in here. So I have it. Based on first Enoch, chapter 74, verse 5. Okay. So I'm gonna close this out. And then I went back and I found also the other precepts. The other precepts you want to read are the following. First Enoch chapter 74, verse 4. It says, and thus she rises. So the moon rises, and her first phase in the east comes out on the 30th morning. And on that day she becomes visible and constitute for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day. Now, to understand, I'm sorry, on the 30th day together with the sun in the door where the sun rises. So on that 29th and a half day of the moon, that's what it's saying. On that 30th day, she comes out as a crescent. But because the sun is more brighter than the moon, you can't see her in the east as she's traveling with the sun. You will only be able to see her when that sun go down in the west. Okay? Like I said, you got to picture it, walk it out. The next precept you can find is in First Enoch chapter 74, verse 12. And I am going to read verse 14 because a lot of people don't understand what is the beginning of the month and what is the end of the month. And the prophet tells you. So that's why I'm going to read verse 14. But in verse 12, it says, on the first day she's called the new moon, for on that day the light rises on her. So we learn from all these chapters from looking at chapter 73 and 74, we learned that the moon get her light in the east. She gains her light in the east. Okay. Very important to know that. So this is why she's addressed as a new moon on the first day, because she has that first of a light upon her. But when you read First Enoch chapter 78, verse 14, it tells you what the end of the month is. And that is on the side whence the light of the moon come out. There again she wanes. That means she's going to decrease in light until all the light vanishes and all the days of the month are at an end. And her spear, which is her disc, her shape, because she's a circle, is empty and void of light, letting you know that's the end of the month. Now let's go to my records, because y'all, my mouth dry. I said, now I know why we have to be out there on time, because if not, you can miss that crescent. And it's not always the same. It's not always the same. Okay. So let me start with this chart first. So we know the moon rises with the sun in the east. And I already told you that it starts in the 12th month of the sun, on the last day of the sun month. Okay. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Oh, I tell you what, it's probably better for me to show y'all my record first so you can understand. But notice it's going to come from the 12th, which is door 3, going to door 4, known as the great door, to the first month. Okay? So that's dealing with that. So let me explain where you can see this. I'm going to blow this up. These are some of my old records when I first started out learning his calendar, y'all. So according to my records, what happened is that the equinox of the sun, the equinox, or when the sun entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth, which is Aries, it fell on March the 20th to March the 21st. Okay? So the first day of the sun would start. Now, finally, my computer want to act right. Let me get this to flow. There we go. Um, so the first day of the sun year started on March the 21st to March the 22nd. Okay. Very important to know. Also in that year, y'all, we had the moon to start its year on March the 21st. That's your new moon day, ended on March the 22nd. So we know at the beginning of the sun year, it usually had 30 days for the first month and 30 days for the second month. So what you have to do is go to timeanddate.com and look at the moon rise and the moon set for March the 21st and for April the 19th in the year of 2015 AD and compare times. Okay? Because remember, the only doors we could choose from is the 7th month, the 12th month, the first month, and the let me go up because I missed and the 6th month. Those are the only 2 months. So those are the only 4 months you can choose. So we know that it has to come after the 12th month of the sun. Okay, you got to write this down and picture it, because I'm telling y'all, you will get confused sometimes. You will get the moon month and the sun month mixed up. But because the sun year started the same time with the moon year, their first 2 months and even the third month is going to line up when we look at the ancient setup. For the moon, we have about 30 days. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. The sun, we have about 30 days. And on that 30th day, which is that 29.5, you will have the new moon crescent to rise in the east and to travel with the sun. And once that sun go down, you begin to see the new moon crescent. But then you want to have a short window to watch it, because then it go down quickly with the sun too. Okay, so here goes some evidence right here. So here I had a question is, What is the sign of Mazzaroth when this in this when the sun in the sun's 12th month? What happens? I mean, what is that sign that the sun enter into in its 12th month? And that sign is, excuse me, y'all, my tongue, is the first sign that the Gentile call Aries. Okay, very important to know. Because when that sun entered into that sign, it happened on March the 21st at 12:45 a.m. in Israel Standard Time. Okay, notice that it happened at night. Okay, before the morning. So when the sun rises on that day, um, it's signifying to us that it's the sun's last month, making it the 30th day. Okay. Also, the one of the signs that the Father given to us to let us know this happened, you will have daylight for that day to be about 9 parts, which is about 12 hours. And then following after the daylight, you will have night to be about 12 hours. Okay. So on the next day, because the moon, because like I said, the sun let us know when the day ends. So at the going down the sun, that's when we see that new moon crescent. And that new moon crescent is the first day of the month. Okay. Now I'm just showing y'all the moon phases. Okay. Now the dark moon will happen on March 20th at 11:36 a.m. Okay. And we knew Passover was on March the 3rd. Okay. Was it March? No, April 3rd. April 3rd. So by me knowing when Passover was, day 14, the new moon crescent has to be on day 1, which is March the 21st, because we had a great sign that year. We had a blood moon. Let me go here. We had a blood moon in the year of 2015 on April 4th. Remember what the prophet Ezra said unto us, that the moon is the sign of the feast and she is the sign of the world. And the Dead Sea Scrolls is going to touch on it too, giving y'all a hint. This is why we got to keep record of all 3 lights. Okay. So we we're looking at the time that the sun rises and the moon rises. This will compare, for that first month of the moon. We see that the sun rises at 5:42 a.m. This is the Israel time. And the moon rises at 6:17 a.m. So when the sun sets at 5:50 p.m., this is on March the 21st, the moon will go down at 7:11 p.m. Now I know what some of y'all saying. Y'all probably saying, well, that's still, a big kind of gap, but y'all got to see the second month. But now I know why, because we still got to have a window of time to see this new moon crescent. Okay. New moon crescent. Because when we look at this, really, this is about an hour. Yeah, it's about an hour difference. About an hour difference. Okay. And the same thing with the other one. It's about an hour difference. So now let's look at for the second month. How I know for the second month, I have to go back to my record. Like I said, keeping records, y'all, really helps. So I go to my second month. The new moon crescent was on April the 29th, which makes sense because this is 29th day. This is the 0.5 day, y'all. So on April the 19th, that's the date I want to look at when the moon sets on that day. Okay? Because remember, the moon will go down with the sun. So April 19th. So that's why I'll look for April 19th. And this is for Arad, Israel. So we go to April. Make sure y'all can see my month. It's in April 19th. As you see here, moon rise 6:34 a.m. The moon is set at 8:01 p.m. For the sun, We have on April, this is in Arad, April 19th. We have the sun to rise 6:07 a.m. and to set at 7:09 p.m. So let's compare 6:07 to 7:09. Y'all, this is getting close. Very close. Now, let's see here. Sunrise was 6:07. 7 from 34, we get 27 minutes difference as far as the rising. As far as the setting, 7:09 to 8:01, we get an hour and 8 minutes. I'm sorry. No, it's less than an hour. It's less than by it's only 52 minutes. So now you begin to understand why there are some times where you can miss the new moon if you're not out there by a certain time. Okay. All right. Now let's also look at why we got this open. Let's look at May 18th. May 18th. Let's look at the next month. May 18th. Make sure we're in the right month. Yep, it's May. Okay, start moon that day. But that's when we saw the crescent at sundown right here. So it was at 7:49 p.m. for the moon, going down at 7:49 p.m. Let's look at this one, May 18th, the year 2015. And you can see the sun going down at 7:29. So we have a few minutes between these two lights, so it gives us time to witness the new moon crescent before it disappears. Okay, so this was for May 18th. The moon crescent was seen on that day at sundown. Um, okay. Now this new moon crescent was set at 7:49 p.m. on May 18th in the year of 2015. When we compare it to the going down of the sun, it was at 7:29. So that's about 20 minutes difference. So now we understand why we have that short period of time because of those 2 months. So as we can see that how close the moon is rising and setting with the sun for the first, second, and third month. Okay, but then it's going to change because the moon has shorter days than the sun. That's why. Far as the rising, let's look at the rising. On the same day, May 18th, we have the moon to rise at 5:57 a.m. and the sun to rise at 5:41. So it's about a 6 minute difference on that day. Now we begin to see what Enoch is telling us. And what he's saying is there is a time when you have the moon and the sun to start their year together. And because their days of the months matches, it will cause the sun and the moon to rise together at about the same time. Now, about that same time, it gives you a small window so you can see the new moon crescent before it completely disappears. So that's very interesting. Okay. Let me decrease this now. So now we understand verse 5. So the 2 months, according to the chart that we can only pick from, because remember, there was a lot of changes taking place. Okay. And these changes were spoken in the beginning, but it don't always happen overnight, y'all. Just like how long man can live. Man can only live up to 120 days, but Josephus expounded that why it took a while that you can only see man only living up to 120 instead of hundreds upon hundreds of years. So with the Father, you have to understand his mindset. It don't always happen right away. Okay. So just a review on verse 5. The 2 months are the 12th month and the first month of the sun. For you have the sun in the 12th month enter into the first sign of Mazzaroth. And then on the sun's first month, you had to enter into the second sign of Mazzaroth. And then falling after that day, then you will have the sun and the moon to set together. And it does occur in the third and fourth door. Okay. And the reason is, and a good example of this is when you see the sun and the moon start their year together. And it does happen where it can reset itself. Okay. You have those precepts to go look at. Look at this chart here and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because as process of elimination, in the 7th month, and Father want me to mention this to you, when we look at the 12th month, it has 31 days. So usually on that, yeah, because how them two started. But on that, what I'm trying to explain to you is that it follows after that sign. You'll see it. So as process of elimination, I know it could not be the 7th month, and I know it cannot be the 6th month of the sun because it's too far out. And by that time, the moon is already ahead of the sun. The, excuse me, y'all. The only window of time to see this happen is at the ending of the sun's 12th month and at the ending of the sun's first month. Okay. So that completes verse 5. And y'all definitely want to go back and look at your blood moons. It is a sign unto us, and it's telling us something. And for the Most High to command the moon to turn blood red on his feast days, such as Passover and Tabernacles, is telling you something. Even the Gentile records or their history records will verify to you that the Israelites kept Passover, and when they kept Passover on the 14th day, it usually was a full moon day. Okay. Like I say again, it's so important to keep records. And then farther at the end of that year, 2015 to 2016, we did have to include a 13th month because they haven't produced a 13th month. And I'm trying to see something. Let's see here. And you can see here the difference when the new moon came in for the 13th month. It happened in March on the 9th day in the year of 2016. And when I count the days out before the equinox day, it was 10 days before the equinox day, lining up to the book of Jubilees. Okay. Let me highlight that. So I hope this example was helpful. If not, like I tell my family, you're going to have to write it out to understand it and meditate on it to see what Enoch saw. Now for verse 6. Verse 6, it says, she goes out for 7 days and turn about and return again through the door where she rises, and all her light is full, and she receives from the sun, and in 8 days enter the 6th door, from which the sun goes out. So now we're into the verse that's showing her path. It first shows us how she following with the sun, but then as time go on, she changes her path, and in other words, her circuit or her path will be slightly different. So now this is where this verse is getting into. So when we look at verse 6, notice that it says for 7 days, okay? For 7 days, she would come out, and then she's going to turn around and return through the door where the sun rises. And where do the doors rises? Remember, we have 6 doors in the east. So out of one of those doors, whichever door the sun come out of, that's where she's going to come out of. Until she become what? a full moon. And when she becomes a full moon, she is what? Received from the sun. So she's opposite. Remember, on the full moon day, you have the sun rising in the east. You have the moon rising in the east while the sun is going down in the west. So when morning come on the next day, then you have the sun rising in the east and the moon going down in the west. So that's what receive means. She's going to push away from him now. And y'all know I got to give a little joke. You know how, just like how the sisters, we have our moment. We want some quiet time, some peace, some space. And we tell the brother, get away from me right now. I need some space. I just had to throw that in there. Whew. Anyway, so now you're going to see her distancing herself from the sun. She's working away from him right now. Okay. Then, in addition to that, then in 8 days, she's going to come out of that sixth door for 8 days. And again, she's still kind of following him, but she's not with him. In other words, she's not by his side. Okay. So here I drew a chart for you. Here we have the moon increasing in light. So for the first 7 days, she's working herself up to be a full moon. And she's riding out and she's coming out of the same door that the sun rises out of in the east. Okay. And on that day she becomes a full moon. She is opposite from the sun. So she is receded from him. Okay. Then, following after the full moon day, for the next 8 days, the sun will be rising out of the sixth door, and this is the same door that the sun, the moon be rising out of the sixth door, and this is the same door. Excuse my tongue, y'all. Same door that the sun will be rising out of. But during this time now, she's gonna be what? Decreasing herself in light. All right. Now for verse 7. It says, and when the sons go out from the fourth door, and she goes out 7 days until she goes out from the fifth, and turns back again in 7 days into the fourth, and accomplish all her light, and she receives and enter into the first door in 8 days. Whoo, this is saying a whole lot. But we will get through this. As you see, I had copied from another translation. This is by Charles. I can't remember his name. To compare. But what we're going to do, we're just going to take our time. All right. So again, remember, whatever door the sun comes out of in the east, that is the door she will come out. So in this verse, she comes out the fourth door for 7 days. Okay. She's going to do this for 7 days. Then after the 7 days, she's going to come out from the fifth door. And when she come out that fifth door, she's going to turn back again, y'all. I can tell you now, she's doing her own little thing here now. She's doing it a little different from the sun. She's gonna turn back again in the next 7 days and come out of the fourth door. So in that fourth door, she's gonna do that for 7 days until she becomes a full moon. And when she becomes the full moon that seventh day, okay, which I got for the 15th day, all I did, I just added the days. Remember the first time it says 7, then she comes through the fifth door. Then for the next 7 days, she come out the fourth door and she's a full moon. So if I add all these days together, I get 15 days. Okay. And that fourth door is what known as what? The great door. It's the middle door. Okay. Then on the full moon day again, she's going to be what? Opposite from the sun. So she's going to be pushed away from the sun. Remember, with new moon day starting for a short period of time, she's traveling with the sun. She's by his side. And this is why we cannot see her until the sun go down, because the sun is the greater light and she's the lesser light. Okay. So after she become a full moon and she's opposite from the sun, she's going to start to decrease herself in light. And for the next 8 days, she's going to enter through that first door. This is the same door that the sun rises out of in the east. And she's going to do this for 8 days while decreasing herself in light. If you're at 8 to 15, you can get 22, the 22nd day. Okay. But notice here, she doesn't come out of these same doors for 30 days. She changed up like a week from week almost in comparison to the sun. The sun come out of certain doors for up to 30 or 31 days. So now we begin to see how different she is from the sun's path. Her path is very different. Then we get to verse 8, it says, "And she returns again in 7 days into the fourth door from which the sons go out of." So in verse 8, for 7 days in the east, the same door that the sun come out of, she will come out of, which is the fourth door. And she's going to do this for 7 days. Okay. And the way I'm looking at this, I probably want to say this got to be 29 because it's saying in addition to. So I'm going to put down 29, which made me probably want to look at this one. I have to meditate on verse 6 more to see. I think verse 6 is showing you a different type of path she take for certain months. Verse 7 may be dealing with a different type of month. But anyway, we'll meditate more on that. And the Most High time, He'll give us understanding about these verses. Okay. So let's read verse 9. And see, verse 9 say, "Thus I saw their positions, how the moon rose and the sun set in those days." So based on what this sentence is saying unto us, what the prophet is writing down what he saw in those days. So he saw their positions in the heaven, where they were placed in the heaven. He also saw how the moon rises, and he saw how the sun was and he saw the sun setting, which is the sun going down. Verse 10. "And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an excess of 30 days. Now all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amounts to 364 days." So we already did a video on verse 10, y'all, going all the way down. So you have to go on the channel and find that video. But it's in Yah's calendar, Yah's calendar and mystery playlist. Okay, because we give the breakdown. But when we look at verse 10, one of the things that stick out to me is that when it says one of those 5 years of the sun equals 364 days. So when you meditate on this verse, it's going to expound on what does it mean for them to be full. And them in this verse, or day in this verse, is talking about the sun and the stars. So in their year, they become full or complete. Okay, let's say full, complete, full or complete in their years, in their year. Okay, so I do see a relationship, what it's saying here, and I do know other sacred books touch on this too as well, but it has to do with the relationship of 360 and 364. And when you take a difference of those days, sorry about that, y'all. Okay. When you take a difference of those days, you'll get a 4 day difference. And I know that 4 day difference is what makes the year complete for the sun and the stars. which will yield or give you, I don't think I spelled that word, there we go, which yields, what, 52 weeks? All we got to do is take 364 divided by 7 equals 52 weeks. Okay? So that's what he was saying. So he's saying one of those years, it becomes complete. Now, as you do the math, what you'll learn that what it said in 5 years, if we add 5 years of the sun year, if we add that and get its 5-year total, okay? In other words, if we get the summation of the sun's 5-year or get the total of the sun's 5 years and minus from the total of the moon's 5 years, we're going to get a 30-day difference between them. So the sun is going to have 30 days more than the moon in 5 years. Okay? So I hope y'all enjoyed this lesson. Don't forget the homework. Looking forward to meet with y'all on Saturday on the Heathens Day. I just laugh because it's a big difference from the Heathens Day, from the Father's Day. And I'll be so glad when he bring his kingdom because I'm sick of this mess. Having to keep up with a pagan calendar. I don't like it. But right now, it comes in this world for right now. But soon our Father kingdom will be coming and we'll no longer have to deal with this. I hope y'all enjoy. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach and the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And he made it simple for us, y'all. So if you have no one to baptize you, guess what? You can do it yourself. Exercise your faith with works. For our Father in heaven has poured his Spirit upon all his creation. This is why the water is the second witness in the earth. The heavens and the earth is a witness unto him, and they can report back unto him of those who had entered into the renewed marriage that was set up by his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism, for it is written in the gospel and in the new covenant or renewed covenant. For our Father say, if you ask in the name of my Son, Yahusha HaMashiach, it shall be given to you according to your heart, faith, and works. So all you have to do is ask our Father, y'all. If you want the Holy Spirit baptism, he will give it unto you. And remember, Father knows best. For with that type of baptism comes knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power. So he will give according to your heart, your faith, and works, because he is a Father. And right now we are in a great battle, and it's a battle for your soul. So if he fully give you all that comes with that Holy Spirit baptism, and it calls you to lose your soul because the spirit of pride come upon you, then he won't do it. You have to understand his mindset. He knows his children very well, and he gives according to your heart, faith, and works. Remember, we are in a battle, and we're not dealing with flesh and blood. We're not just dealing with Edom, y'all. We're dealing with the one he went in covenant with, the same one that Cain went in covenant with, as well as many of the sons of Adam went in covenant with. That's the one you're dealing with. And in order to defeat him, you have to be of our Father's kingdom. You cannot do this alone. You need your Father. If you don't have them, the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, you are powerless. Many don't even understand what they're dealing with. Love you all, and shalom.